So excited to do the very first live episode of the MindOfSnaps podcast today with the amazing YungKhan. And I now know that there's no underscore on Twitch, so that's cool. What's up, Khan?
Nothing much at all. Got my coffee, I'm ready to roll.
You can have coffee this late?
Have coffee from sun up to sundown and sun up again.
Oh my gosh, I would not be able to. I would be up until forever. Okay.
I'm just doing stuff. Gotta be up.
Oh, that makes sense. You're a go-getter. Let's start this off all productively and professionally and shit, and have you just promote the hell out of yourself. Where will people find you, and what will you be doing when they find you?
You can find me
Tough question.
7 days a week. Yeah, it's a tough question. I'm always available, basically. 7 days a week I'm live streaming art and graphic design at twitch.tv/YungKhan. You can find me on website, khanartist.org. Twitter. I'm on Twitter pretty often. Young_Khan_, because some Mongolian rapper has the original YungKhan for some reason. And
Damn.
Instagram is the same thing, YungKhan.
All right. So everyone go follow him everywhere. You want to be his friend for sure. So you did some emotes for me like forever ago. It's been many long times. But I remember like initially meeting you and thinking like you're so chill. I really loved working with you. It was a very easy process, you know. So when it came time for that panel that I brought you in for, that was like one of the first times that we were able to get to know each other even further, you know, versus like hanging out in your stream a little bit and kind of getting to know you that way. It was really cool getting to hear some of your perspective on things, which was the main reason that I brought you in here today, was to get that same perspective. I had so many people come up to me saying you were so insightful and very interesting, and I was like, yeah, it's fucking awesome. I can't wait to like have another conversation with you. So we're just gonna like jump right in. I was telling everyone earlier, like I have no idea what I'm even gonna talk to him about. All I know is I wanna like dig around in his brain. So let's just start. Do you have a life philosophy?
Yeah, I think everybody has a life philosophy. It's just
I don't know about that.
Oh no, everyone does. They just don't know it. It's just verbalizing this can be difficult. Everybody has a life philosophy. Sometimes it's just not easy to put out into words. I guess in a single word, it could be just conquer. Yeah.
Conquer? Oh, of course.
Just conquer.
Of course, and that is like one of your social media things, which is dope that like works out really well with your name.
All by accident, by the way.
Really?
All by accident. Yeah. My nickname comes from I used to do Mongolian wrestling. So that's how I got the nickname Khan.
I was gonna ask where that came from. Someone else was saying that too, that you had some experience in some form of like martial arts or something. So it was wrestling?
Yeah, Mongolian wrestling. I've been doing martial arts for over 20 years. 20 years? Almost 25 years now.
Damn. That's fucking awesome. When did you start?
10, 12.
You look so young. Holy crap.
I'll be 37 in a week, so.
That's awesome.
2
Happy
weeks.
early birthday. Oh, yay. So wait, what is Mongolian wrestling compared to like the standard wrestling that I would know of from around here?
Mongolian wrestling is called Shuaijiao in China. It comes down from China. It's wrestling. If you fall down, you lose. So it's wrestling based on if you fall on the ground with your opponent, you lose points. The whole goal is to keep standing up, because if you fall down, you might get trampled by a horse. So it's wrestling meant for combat. So if you get thrown, you throw the person, you fall down with them, you might get stabbed. So
what?
That was the philosophy behind it. Yeah. Well, it's it's wrestling that was based around, fighting off horseback and getting down, and like fighting around weapons. So you don't really want to throw a person and fall on top of them. You might get stabbed by somebody else. So stand aware, stand on your feet.
Is it all similar to like judo then? Are you
like judo,
trying to like do hip tosses and throws and shit?
Hip tosses, throws, you just lose points if you fall.
Wow.
And when you wrestle, you fight in an arena that's a couple feet off the ground. So you want to fight in a ring that's about a foot off the ground. So you can't really fall out of it. If you do, you might twist an ankle.
Ugh.
So it's really important to stay inside that circle. Teaches you awareness, stuff like that.
Wow, I could imagine. Like I remember doing the jiu-jitsu tournament, and like they had it taped off. But like if you went outside of that space, you definitely like lost points or could get potentially DQ'd, but you weren't about to like fall off of something while you're doing it. But I'm really tripping out trying to picture how this starts. So like you assume the position to begin your match. What does the position look like?
Oh, you start standing. Just standing in front of each other.
Wow. And then you just rush? What is your go-to? Are you rushing and trying to grab? Are you wearing like a gi or anything?
Oh, you wear like a very thick like knitted top with a belt. So I don't rush. No, I'll wait. I'll wait till they make a move.
Ooh,
this is like it's like chess. You gotta wait. You gotta see if they're they're jumpy or not. It's all about the because you can plan 4 or 5 moves ahead just like anything else. It's just once that initial contact happens, you can feel how loose or how they want to play the game. Some people just want to go in there, start struggling immediately, let them tire themselves out. But I was once that moment comes, I do turn it up to 120.
Oh, I can imagine.
Pick somebody up and throw them out of the ring.
Damn, I'm gonna have to like look up a bunch of YouTube videos on this. I'm super interested.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I bet it would be. And I like that you compared it to chess, because that's something that people refer to jiu-jitsu as a lot, is like human chess, because it's kind of a similar concept, except there's stand up and ground game where you're stripping hands and you're wrestling, and like every move that they make, you're thinking 10 moves ahead. Like, okay, so if I do this, they're gonna do this probably. From there, I'll move to this way, and kind of so on and so forth. You just continue on with that thought process, but it's very interesting to have body mechanics factored into that, Is that the only form that you do, or do you do other stuff too?
Oh no, geez.
We got a list.
I was teaching for a while too, yeah.
Okay.
I started off doing Northern Shaolin in my early teens. I was a competitor in Science Show, full contact kickboxing for about 5 or 6 years.
Ooh.
Taught Chin Tai Chi, Old Frame, Bagua, Zong. They're all internal martial arts. And in between that, I did Kun Tao Salat, which is Indonesian hand-to-hand combat or close quarter combat.
Jesus.
Like knife fighting, stick fighting. Lots of small movements, stuff you would use in like bodyguard and kind of things, like basic self-defense stuff where there's knife awareness and hand awareness, body awareness, stuff like that.
Did you do bodyguard stuff too?
No, I did security very briefly.
Got it.
No bodyguard stuff.
That's so you got into martial arts really young, and then you were just like, fuck it, I want to do all of it. I feel that. Damn, so what's the difference between your style of kickboxing and Muay Thai? Are you aware?
Oh, there's throws in it. So
Oh. Ooh.
So you can punch somebody, you can grab, you can sweep them and take them down. You can you do fight on an elevated platform again.
You're all about those danger platforms, man. I like it.
Well, if you train in a certain way, you'll keep on making the same mistakes. So if you don't want to fall off the edge of a cliff, it's based practice on a cliff that's maybe 6 inches tall, maybe a foot tall.
Damn.
Just don't. If you take that line for granted, this is not real because it's just a line. You can just you can step over any time. There's no consequence for it.
Yeah.
You actually put a little bit of danger in there, like 6 inches a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet. You'll be less likely to let your opponent push you that far off the edge.
Man, this is so interesting. I can't wait now to talk to my boyfriend and his brother, because his brother was a D1 wrestler in college, and now he's getting into jiu-jitsu. He's a purple belt at this point. but it's
Oh yeah.
like I think the awareness aspect of that, the idea of you being on a platform is so interesting because yeah, like you're really conditioning your body. What a cool thing to be like locked into is your surroundings. Damn, and I like the idea of Muay Thai with throws. That's combining a lot of things that I really enjoy for sure.
It's like close to MMA, but there's no ground game.
Have you gotten into any physical fights?
A bunch.
A bunch? How
Yeah.
willingly does that happen? Like, are you a hothead? You always seem very calm, very chill.
Oh, you mean outside of the ring?
Yeah, like
Oh,
actual
no.
fights, not like in a training. I should have definitely specified. Like, do
I've
you
been
have
in
good discipline of
confrontations,
that?
but they weren't really fights because I hit them and there wasn't really a fight after that.
When you have that kind of skill, I really don't imagine those fights last long. I'm sure that they have a
Yeah,
moment of
I've-
feeling tough and then a lot of moments of regret.
I've diffused a bunch of situations. Let me say that.
Wow.
So I worked as a bartender for about 7 or 8 years before I did this. Lots of a lot of times it's just people just don't. It's too much alcohol in them. I've never been in any situations where I've incited so much fury that they wanted to hit me.
So it's just them getting beer muscles.
Beer muscles, working the door. Sometimes I worked a door at a bar, little sleepy town, small town bar out here in Ohio. Just on this, like people would call me just to fill in for a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, the guys that were even bigger than me, I'm like, man, you don't really want to do this. Look what's happening. You see what's happening over there? The cops will be down here in 30 seconds and take you down. You'll be in the tank for 2 or 3 days. You're gonna pay a big fine, get a lawyer. Do you really want to go through all that?
Not worth it.
Do you? I didn't think so. I don't want to go through that. I will go down there and sign any paperwork. I know you don't. That usually calms them right down. Like, oh yeah, I don't have $500 for a lawyer.
Yeah,
I don't have $1,500 for a lawyer.
when you
start
bring the
putting in money to
paperwork
it, yeah.
into it, like, oh, I gotta write things with a pen and stuff. That's torture to me.
Yeah. Once you can talk to somebody out of, you can talk to people out anything.
Especially honestly, if they are drinking, like a lot of times you can, like things hit you a little harder. Like you get a little angry faster, but you also are like, whoa, you're right, like a little bit faster, I think. Have you ever had, or do you get a lot of unwanted, kind of aggressive attention if you go? I don't know if you even go out to like bars normally to just like chill and hang out.
Oh, not anymore. That's since I got sick. I don't really drink that much anymore.
Oh.
The alcohol, but like too much alcohol for me can, cause a flare up. So.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. A flare up of what? If you want to share.
Oh, I have a rare neuromuscular disease.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I got it. 5 years ago now. Yeah, 5 years ago. I came down with myasthenia gravis. It's a neuromuscular disease that it came on. It affected my eye. My eye stopped working, and then it worked my way down, and I couldn't like swallow food or water, and then I couldn't walk or talk.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's really rare. So now I just take medication. I shouldn't be like, all jokes aside, I shouldn't be doing any of the stuff I'm doing right now. But,
really? Like the heavy caffeine intake? How does that help?
Power lift. I shouldn't be literally you shouldn't be lifting heavy weights at all.
Damn.
Like I should not be this big with this disease.
Wow. But like how do you feel most days? Do you feel pretty good?
Feel great most days.
That's wild.
I get more stuff done before I got sick than I did before I was, actually, fully functional.
Wow. So like, did that change your perspective on anything? Like getting that?
Lots of stuff. Yeah. Like I was pretty much I've been into Eastern philosophy most of my life, but afterwards, when you're laying in the hospital bed for about, I was in there for about 2 months and I had the surgery. Things, they drastically get focused down to a smaller attention. Like it's you get focused down to a needle point of like on the left side of your life and the right side of your life of this is what's happening, and then this major event happens and it shapes everything else down that path.
Wow. What was the surgery?
Thymectomy. Thymectomy is where they I got 6 cuts on both sides of my rib cage. They reached in and pulled out my thymus gland and removed it, and that helps curve the disease, the symptoms of the disease.
Wow. Is it expected to progress, or like medication plus the surgery plus you kind of like having a healthy lifestyle in general? Is that like, are you pretty much good?
Yeah, it's pretty much good. The things that affect it are too much stress, too much alcohol, smoking, no muscle relaxers, no marijuana, no anything that affects the muscles really.
Interesting. Which
What I never
explains
did.
why you're not supposed
Yeah.
to do the weightlifting and stuff. If it's
Yeah,
muscle
not
related
supposed
stuff.
to.
Hmm.
The thing is, you're not supposed to exhaust your muscles, which is why I
Oh,
power lift now. So powerlifting is you kind of like you lift and you sit down for 4 or 5 minutes.
it's a
You
burst.
yeah, and you like sit down. You stretch out a little bit. You go lift again. And you sit down. So powerlifting is like the workout preferred for this disease, I believe, or that's what I'm telling myself.
I
But I've been
mean,
doing it for about 3 years, so
and like you said, you feel good, which I think is a very undervalued thing for people, like all of these different things are being factored in, but a big part of things is like, how do you feel? You know? Like I'm supposed to be on medication for my heart, but one of the main side effects of it was dizziness, and that was what the issue was causing in the first place. So I was like, I'm not gonna take a pill to regulate my dizziness if it might make me dizzy. Should I be on it? Potentially. Like sometimes the fluctuations can be a pain in the dick, but like I feel good most days, so we'll just say it's good. No need to
mhm.
stress too much over it. Ooh, and speaking of stress, so if that's a big part of this, how do you manage your stress? You said you're big into like Eastern philosophy and stuff. Did that all tie in?
Yeah. I mean, it plays out in most everything I do. Because I mean, I guess you've heard the Buddhist way, where there's a middle path. Not too much left, not too much right. You don't want to do things too little or too much. So I try to keep things on a path. I don't want to I don't want to overwork myself, but you want to do too little work.
Yeah.
But I'm not really stressed out by my job because of my previous experiences. I mean, my everyone's measure of stress will be different. Like some people think that taking their dog for a walk in the wrong part of the neighborhood is stressful, or babysitting can be stressful. Like my
That's
level
true.
of stress is a lot different than other people's levels of stress. I grew up in Detroit, East Cleveland. Like I've been a victim of gun violence. I like it's not my level of stress is
Wow.
not measured by everyone's level of stress. My level of stress, like for my work, I work I don't know 7 to 10 hours a day on my business. Between the streaming, the invoicing, the talking to clients, but I love every second of it. Like the stress I had from working was basically, when I worked at high school, it was stressful working with the kids.
What did you do at the high school?
Taught phys ed.
Oh, that's dope.
That was a decade ago. It's like it was 20, yeah, 12 years ago. It was
Isn't
a
it
while ago.
wild to be able to put anything in even like 10 years plus when you look back at your life? Holy fuck, I've been doing this for that long.
Mhm.
That trips me
I don't know.
out.
It feels weird because I don't feel any different than I did when I was 25 or 27. I feel better now than I did a decade ago, and I've got a neuromuscular disease.
Wow. Man, that's wild. When did you start doing art and everything?
Ooh, sure. If the Destiny One came out,
Oh,
like
really?
yeah, I took a decade off from drawing. Like once I started teaching, I didn't draw anything. I took a
Oh.
like I bought a new house. Um, I had the job at the school, and that was taking a lot of time. I was competing in tournaments all the time. Like I um, probably have like over 100 trophies and like 40, 50 medals. I was a competitor, a big time competitor
God damn.
here in the tri-state area, here, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Lower Canada, Ontario. Like I did that for quite some time.
That's
So
fucking
that took up a lot
awesome.
of the time. And then like I got sick and I couldn't really do the things I like to do anymore. It's like I saw my man Cobb One on Instagram. I was like, oh man, I used to do art like that. I wonder if I get back into it. And that was 3 years ago this October. And then a year
Damn.
later, I got into doing, the art. No, a few like 6 months after that, I got into doing like small commissions, and now it's 2 years running. This is a full-time gig.
That's so cool, especially because it was Cobb, and I love Cobb. He's such a nice dude. I've known him since D1 days too. So that's cool that that was what like made you think, maybe I should do this again. And now, like, I saw you at GuardianCon this past year with your booth, and I was gonna stop in and say hi, and I was like, bro is busy. Like, there is no time for me to squeeze in there when you got like a line of people and you are just like engrossed in what you're doing. Like, you're fucking killing it, man.
That was surreal.
Was it not like
really
that
was.
last year, or was this your first year having a booth?
It's my first year having a booth.
Oh. Wow.
I had the booth. I did the talk with you. I did the panel with you, and I was in charge of I was the head designer for the award show that night. So.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Oh yeah, the limited the Red Drop Awards. I did the top down design for that, for the graphics, the motion graphics, the logo, everything.
Fuck
the badges.
Yeah.
So it was a crazy GuardianCon for me.
Wow. So how did you feel walking in there and like seeing the stuff you created being used on such a big scale? Is that the first time that's happened?
Yeah, nervous.
Yeah.
Because I had to relinquish all the files and stuff to somebody else, and they were going to do the presentation. I wasn't part of that part.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. And then I was checking with them like 20 minutes before, like 4 or 5 hours before, 20 minutes before. You guys good? You guys need anything? Are you sure? Everything looks like it's going to be okay. All right, I'll be over here.
That's cool that they involved you in that. I didn't know that. And then what about your booth? So like the floor opens, you're chilling at your booth. How long until you had your first person, and did it blow up quickly after that?
Oh, the first 10 minutes of the doors. I had no idea what I was going to. Like, I invested a few $1,000s into the booth just in buying merch. I was like, all right, if I don't sell anything, I think I should be okay to do giveaways every day for the next 3 years.
You had a plan. I like it.
Well, when you invest in something like getting a booth at a convention, I don't know what's going to happen. So I've never had a booth before. You never know what's going to happen. And my man, Dr. Jones, he's the head of the Dutch Collective, gave me a bit of advice. I was like, all right, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And then by day 3, I had like, I don't know, a handful of shirts left. Like some things, like a lot of things just sold out. Like I came down with 3 big boxes. I went back with half a box of just, t-shirts.
Wow. That had to have been real fucking dope.
It was, and I think I gave away like 500 business cards, and ever since it's been bananas.
Yeah, you get a lot of business after that too now?
Oh yeah, a whole bunch, yeah.
Wow.
Like I was signing up people for work at the convention. I was like, all right, I'm about 2 months out. And they're like, oh, that's fine. And then when I got back from GC a month later, I'm booking for January, February right now for orders.
Oh, y'all, that is what is up. That's fucking awesome. So when you were at the con, were you like in flow, just like in the moment, like just move, do.
I didn't think I would be that busy, where I'd be like I thought I'd be sitting down a little bit in my booth. No, I didn't sit down 1 minute. Like I thought I'd be sitting down. Like
I got to walk the floor twice, and you were standing both times that I saw you.
Like from doors open to doors closed, I was standing up the entire time.
That's fucking cool though, especially like holy shit, you're booked that far out. That's inspiring as fuck. I hope that a lot of the folks in here and that are going to be listening to this podcast when it goes live, like on my actual channel, I hope a lot of them are going to hear this and be like, damn, okay, so I can start, build myself up, and then potentially have a booth somewhere, get my business like really rocking, do the thing I love to do.
If I started at the age, I started at 34, 33 maybe, and I started just like, if I show you the art I did when I first got started back, it was rough. It was compared to what I did, a year later, it was rough to look at. But I turned that into, heading up and doing in the award show for one of the biggest like gaming conventions that for St. Jude. So
Wow.
and that's in the span of 3 years roughly.
Progression is wild. It's cool because I would love to see, by the way, your first and like one of your favorite pieces from now, like your first and then something that you've created that you're really proud of. One of our friends in here is pursuing her art now, Ellie, and she posted a picture of like where she started and then where she was at like a year later. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? A year got you that much better? Wow. It's so fucking inspiring. And to think that you've made a business out of this that's so strong and lively in a relatively short period of time, and you didn't start this like fresh out of college kind of stuff, like I think a lot of people are gonna love to hear that. That's one of the things I get so often is like even people in like their 20s, you know, basically kids coming in like, I don't know what to do with my life. It sucks. I have no direction. I hate my job. I feel like everything is just a dead end and I don't want to start over. I'm too old. It's like, bruh, you're like a kid still, you know, not to minimize the pain and the struggles of being young because it's a whole fucking thing. But you really can reinvent yourself whenever the fuck you want to. It's all about that intention, right?
Yeah. You can, if I can do it, you can do it.
Damn. That's so cool. So when you started doing your little art commissions, like, was that the end goal? Were you thinking like, I would love to have this as my career?
No, I had no end goal. The goal was to make more art. That's always been the goal. Like the goal has not changed. Like it's you know, it supports my family, but I don't do art for the money. Like it's a lucrative business, but I do art to make more art. If anybody's watched my Twitter feed, I just pump out art all the time because it brings me great joy.
I mean, I can even see it right now. This, I guess, is one of the good things of us actually doing this recording live and having this here is people can see you like smiling as you're talking about creating art. You're not even doing it right now. You're just thinking about doing it and you're like, fuck yeah, fuck yeah. That's what everyone deserves to feel. And I think it's awesome that you have kind of that general goal, do more art. I have so many people who like with streaming, right? They're like, I want to be the biggest streamer. I want to be the best streamer. I want to get into this. And I'm like, not that it's not a cool goal to have, but like for what purpose, you know? I think go a little broader. What part of streaming do you really like the most? For me, it's connecting. So I'm like, whatever the sub count is, whatever the numbers are, my goal is to connect to people daily and help people connect to themselves daily. If I can do that, I can do that with one person. It makes streaming fun all the time because I'm not stressing about hitting certain goals, paying certain things. Like, I'm like, all right, have I connected? Will I connect? That's what I'm here for. And you're doing the same thing, but with art.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure that's like an ancient like Zen saying.
Ooh.
It's when you're going for a goal. They compare it to archery. If you're shooting for no reason, your shot is on point. If you're shooting for a gold medal, the pressure of the gold medal is going to ultimately flag the shot. So you're going to ultimately the pressure of getting this gold will influence the shot. So a pure intention will bring a pure result.
Have you seen the movie A Peaceful Warrior?
Got it on DVD. I read the book.
Oh my god. My man just showed me that movie the other night, and you just totally reminded me of that scene where he's talking about, like, you know, the guy up there. If you're going for the gold, you're not doing the sport you love. You're doing it for the gold. It's not the same. That's so interesting, and it's definitely a part of like what I'm trying to advocate here for people all the time is like, find the things that are the root of the things that you want to do. You know, why do you want to do it? What part of it do you connect to? Do you want to live a life of creativity? Do you want to live a life of helping others, helping animals, of learning, touring, exploring, whatever? Like, I think going general is the key, but we lock ourselves into career tracks as if that defines us, you know? Like, I am my job. If I'm not the best at this, or if I don't have a job that is satisfying to talk about and tell people about, then I'm not worth a shit. But it's like, what's the root of that? Why did you even like that job in the first place? Connect to that. If you're doing that, it's a good day, right?
Every day. Every day is a great day.
Fuck yeah. Have you always been a pretty like optimistic person? Did you have some periods of your life where you were like, man, fuck this, fuck that, fuck everything?
No, I don't think so.
That's fucking awesome. Is this
Maybe
a
in
family
high school,
thing
maybe,
too?
No, it's not a family thing.
No? Were you the
No,
chill
I'm
one
good.
in your family?
I'm the anomaly.
Wow.
Maybe I'm like my dad, but I'm definitely the anomaly. No
So-
one understands why I do the things I do, and I
That's
don't understand why they do the things they do. So
it's so interesting because like then how did you when did you start to like really become this person that you are now? You said maybe in high school you kind of had a little bit of a waver. Like, do you remember the first time that something happened and you were like, meh, no big deal?
Probably getting kicked out of college the first semester.
Why'd you get
graphic
kicked
design school.
out?
Oh, I got kicked out for drinking.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. Like,
I didn't drink in high school. Like, it was my first time drinking was in college, and that was the nail in the coffin.
so you say like you got kicked out for drinking. I imagine that you weren't like just like sipping a margarita one day and the school approached you and
Oh,
was like, you're out of here, bud.
I was more concerned with partying instead of doing my classwork. So one semester, one and done.
And you were in there for graphic design.
For graphic design, didn't make it out.
That's so funny. And now your career is art and graphic design?
I do art and graphic design. I started off doing art, and that moved into graphic design, and then I moved into motion graphics, and now I'm in
Ooh.
animations. So, like, I only learn new things. I mean, you go through your Twitter feed or you go through your Instagram feed, like, I want to learn how to do that,
Yes.
but then we just forget about it.
Yes.
Not me. I'm just like, are there any classes on Udemy? Can I get that for like $9.95? Is there a YouTube channel? I'm like writing down notes. I'm like, okay. Cool,
My man loves Udemy. I didn't know that existed until just now. Like literally this week. I used lynda.com and like YouTube and anything else, books, whatever that I could find. Because I did the same thing. I self-taught like pretty much everything I've done in my life. It's just like, all right, where are the resources? I'll just learn from them and then fuck around with it until I'm either good or realize I don't like it.
We were the same way when we were children. We just forgot how to be curious.
Oh my
Like
fuck.
sometimes we forget that we have that we could follow up on our thoughts. We just get bogged down by life.
God damn it. I'm so glad I have you on this podcast right now. You have no idea, like, people are gonna think I fucking, like, gave you a script. They're gonna be like, all right, this is all, it's too similar.
Should I tear up these notes then?
Amazing sound effect, too. Like, this just became a high production show with just that one thing. No, for real, though, I talk about that all the time. It's like, we used to be curious and curiosity feels good. And then like as you go through the school system and sometimes with our parents or the people who are kind of shaping us, you go from being encouraged to poke and prod and explore and ask questions to being told like, wait your turn. Don't ask too many questions. Don't get too excited over things or else people will think you're a nerd or whatever. Like suddenly all this dumb bullshit gets put on top of what is a beautiful, pure thing, curiosity. You know? But holy fuck.
This is like the best time to be curious, but it's also like a double-edged sword. Like you can find anything you want to learn, anything in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think people take that for granted. Like I remember being a kid and you had to like schedule a trip to the library. You had to walk down there and get a card. You had to comb through hundreds of books to find out what you're looking for.
Yes.
And you had to go to the library and like, can I have these 8 books? You could only have 5. You had to put 3 of them back for next time you come back. That's the kind of information you had to grab when you were a kid.
For real. And then sometimes you would go back and they didn't have those anymore. So you're like, okay, so I'm not going to learn that this time. I guess I'll go this direction or maybe I'll just read Dean Koontz.
You can just literally YouTube and I got picked up all the drawing, like all the skills I have, just watching YouTube or getting a course for like $10, like here and there. Like I turned that those small investments into like, where I can pay the mortgage and, feed the family and keep the lights on and all that kind of stuff. But that was all basically free. Like one commission or two commissions paid for all that stuff.
Fuck.
Like I went from like zero to doing this. Like it's not it's not like, I don't have the money to do this. I don't have the money. Like you make excuses for ourselves at every single turn, but lo and behold, everything you want is right in front of you. Like it's all about how much time you want to invest in your passion. If you're really passionate about it, like there's people that say, "Well, I'm really passionate about X, Y, and Z." Oh, really? What do you learn about it? Oh,
What's the last book you read on that subject?
It's all cursory. It's like a surface level.
Yeah, like, well, I look up articles sometimes, once in a while, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
me too.
Yeah.
And then I'd go and find an author and see what else they wrote.
For real.
Like a
Man.
maniac.
And I see you obviously hate books.
Mm.
You're not a fan of reading.
Hate them. Kindling. I'm on the fire. No, this house is definitely a fire hazard. There are books behind me. But that's probably like maybe a little less than a half of the books in the house.
How many of those do you go back and reread?
Probably the ones on the middle shelf, probably pretty often.
Yeah.
The ones on the bottom are all reference books. The top are basically all martial arts. Second one's philosophy, Chinese, Indian, philosophy, religious texts, books on the mind, art, books on wine. I used to, work in a wine bar.
Oh, that's cool.
All my interests, chess, martial arts, stuff I like to read.
It's cool because I'm constantly advocating for people to read books every day. I think book knowledge is like overlooked all too often because there is, the internet and articles and YouTube and podcasts. Like there's so many little things you can do to get a little bit of knowledge. But I really think there's something to be said for getting real deep into a subject matter via like a book that's dedicated to it. So whenever I have people who are telling me like, I'm trying to make this into a thing, or I'm really passionate about learning this, that's usually the question I ask. Oh, what books are you reading? Because most of the time I'm fucking curious and I'm like, oh, whatever you're reading, I want to add that to my list. I'll read it later. And then it's like, well, I usually just watch YouTube videos. Like, okay, but do you look up any of the sources in those videos to like make sure that they're not kind of full of shit? Because it's one thing to like watch like an art video and learn from it, but there's a lot of misinformation out there, like someone can't be telling you there's one way to do art and like be doing it in front of you and be doing it wrong. You'd be like, yeah, you drew a stick figure, I'm trying to do an oil painting. Obviously this isn't what I'm trying to learn from. But when it comes to like advanced topics or like things that people are really interested in, they go through some interesting sources and then stop there. There's no additional book learning. There's no reaching out to people who are super knowledgeable on the topic. It just like stops at YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, books can be static. Like it depends on when they were written and the author. Like there's even misinformation in books.
Mm-hmm.
It's the application that's always the interesting part. Because I read books on philosophy. I read a lot of books on philosophy. A lot. That's probably one of my biggest passions, to philosophy. But there's contradictions. There's things. All things don't apply to all people. It's impossible.
That's the truth.
Like the key thing I learned from philosophy is probably objectivity of self. Because everything you look at, you look through your own lens. Like this person should be doing this, but I'm looking through my eyes and not their eyes. So when you have objectivity, you can have empathy and compassion for that person. But shaping that, like help them to shape their own subjectivity to be more objective I want to say it's almost impossible to lay that on somebody unwillingly.
Yes.
Even willingly, it's even harder.
Yes. Oh man, one of the biggest struggles I think of like what I do on Twitch here is when people want me to give them the answers, but then when I give them answers that may help them, they're just like, no, I don't. And I'm like, okay, well, my role in this is officially done. Like, if you're not open to any of it, there is quite literally nothing I can do that's gonna change, like, your life. Like, I can't change the way you feel about yourself. I can't change the way you feel about your world. You gotta be open to it, or else I'm just speaking rah, 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 rah to you, you know?
And people want their surroundings changed. They want their circumstances changed. But change starts within, and then it moves outward. Like, that's how it works. You can't just, be the same person, expect different things to happen around you.
Oh my God, I say that all the time. It really, like, your circumstances are just so unlikely to change unless you do.
Check 2 on our list right here. There we go.
Thank you. And obviously we're not talking about like the change that's a natural part of life. Like, there's always going to be an ebb and flow. Things will change. But if we're talking about you looking at your life and saying, I want change, you can't just look at your life and say, I want change, I want change, I want change. You got to work. And it definitely starts with yourself. I'm still so blown away by that after spending so long of my life like just miserable and locked in my brain, that I've been doing this for this like mental health, mindfulness stuff for a year and almost 10 months. And I'm just like, holy fuck, everything is better. Food tastes better. The sky is bluer. My relationships are better. Like, everything I do feels so much different than I would have ever expected it to be able to feel. But it did not happen because I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on food real quick, or I'm going to focus on other people, or I'm going to focus on just career. It was like, I'm going to focus on myself. And I did the same thing you did with your art. I went to the internet, and then I went to books and went to people and looked up information, which is another thing that I think is very undervalued. We look up career stuff, but we don't look up personal stuff as often. Like, that was a major catalyst for me, was realizing that I needed to change, and then being like, okay, what if I Googled it?
There is an inherent problem when you're looking up, books, or you're looking up information for self-help. Like, I know people that they go to seminars and they'll get mountains of books, but they won't change it all. They think there's a magic bullet to help alter their paradigm. Yep. But everything you ever need, everything you ever needed is inside yourself. Man. It's just looking at yourself. Like, here's a little exercise. Look at yourself and say, okay, what is going on with this person? Like, why does this person react this way? Why does this person react this way? Why do you do this when that happens? And you'll realize, like, that's really stupid of me.
It's so funny because, like obviously that's something that we always advocate for, and I just heard a term for that too. The way that folks tend to cruise the self-help scene, which is like consume, don't apply. Eventually I'll find the book that gives me enlightenment and suddenly I'll be okay. But that awareness, I always tell people, like, awareness brings the ability to control. And I literally just in chat earlier today had someone come in, and the first thing they said was that they would give me money for feet pics. And I was like, okay, so that's interesting. Let's talk about why you thought this was appropriate to say to me. And we started having a conversation, and after they started talking a little bit more, I was like, all right, so now that you've kind of like chilled, we understand that you're kind of going through some shit. Let's ask a quick question here. Why did you decide, when you clearly were seeking connection, why did you decide to go that route? What made you go from saying like, hey, I'm struggling with managing my ADHD to I'll give you money to whack it to your feet, And this person waited a few minutes and responded and was like, honestly, I don't even know right now. Like, well, shit, that's pretty eye-opening, right? If you're running on autopilot and your autopilot is kind of destructive by nature, maybe we can start there and start checking our impulses a little bit. When you have an impulse to ask someone to show feet, maybe you just don't. Maybe you let it go, you know? Oh man. You can also mark that one off the list, obviously. Like, you know, everything you need is in yourself.
There was a talk I heard that helped illustrate this a little bit better by a guru. He's known one of the 50s and 60s as an anti-guru.
You remember his name?
By the name of Jiddu Krishnamurti.
Okay.
There's probably dozens of hours of his talks on YouTube. I suggest anybody take a listen to one of his talks. But one of the big things was, looking for things that are in yourself. All these religions and all these, different, philosophies saying you got to be a light to this, you got to be a light to, this religious figure, a light to this religious figure, instead of being the light into yourself. Like it sounds so esoteric and like mumbo jumbo, but I even went over this I probably tweeted about it about 2 weeks ago. I'm like, the way we look at ourselves, the way we speak about ourselves, the way we view ourselves impacts us. Like if you go to somebody's Twitter profile, and the first line of their Twitter bio is self-deprecating.
Yes.
You're like, oh, but it's a joke, bro. Yeah, it is. But your subconscious is picking it up, regardless if you think it's a joke or not. Like that's why when I talk about myself, I don't talk about myself like, I make stuff that's, it's okay. It's never really that good.
Oh my gosh, the downplaying and the self-deprecating stuff. Yes.
But there's also the other side of like, yeah, I make stuff that's really damn good. Like this guy's boasting his ass off. I've seen stuff that's way better than his stuff. Well, which one is better?
I think that's always the struggle, right? Because you go to this point where you're like, it's okay to like myself. It's okay to like what I do. But for some reason, as soon as you say, I'm proud of the work I do, people are like, it's not as good as this person, or it's definitely better than this person. Like people are scared to be confident because they think it means that there's a comparison of other people. Like I am this, which means I'm better than you.
I will compare myself to myself every day.
Amen. Oh my gosh. You can check off so many things off of that list now. Like the stories we tell ourselves matter. I talk about that all the fucking time. And, comparing yourself to yourself. The only person I'm trying to be a little better than is the person I was yesterday. Like that's my competition.
Yeah. Every single day. That's why I do so much, like, all the speed stuff I do speed sketches. Not because I think one thing I think it's really cool to see art come together really, really fast. But two, I want to get better at drawing stuff faster so I can make more stuff.
Damn, there's some logic in there. Okay. That's really smart.
It's like, what's that thing called? It's an old, like, a World of Warcraft joke. We could apply to Destiny. Why do you raid? To get the gear. Why do you need the gear? To raid!
Everyone in my chat that's watching right now is going to be like, Snaps doesn't even know what a raid is. She's probably so confused.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really raid anymore. I once did, though, so I got the joke, friends. I got it. Man, so if you could pick, because we've talked about like a bunch of different things, right, that people kind of struggle with and like self-sabotaging things that we do. If you could pick like one big one out of there, what would you tell people to stop doing first?
Stop waiting.
Ooh.
Stop waiting until tomorrow. Stop waiting until the next week, 2 months from now. Don't wait for I talk about this every year on New Year's Eve. I don't want to hear about New Year's resolutions. I don't want to hear about them. I don't. Time is irrelevant. Like the calendar is a man-made. Like it means nothing. January 1st is not magical. Like Santa Claus is not going to come down and grant you with extra willpower on January 1st.
Oh my god.
Like you're not even guaranteed you're going to live that long to January. Down in a car accident tomorrow.
For real.
I want to bring this down, but if you're going to do something, make that phone call. Call that relative. Start that thing. Start it now. Make that call now. Now. There is no Tomorrow does not exist now. Yesterday does not exist now. Now only happens now. Not now, but now.
Now.
Do not wait. I want to get better at drawing. What you doing about it?
That is always my next question too. I love when people use the word need or should in my chat. I'm like, aha. You've identified something that obviously matters to you, something that you know is important that you could be doing for yourself to progress in your life or to feel better. So what's the next step? What are you going to do today to get a little closer to whatever that is? Because you're fucking right. That's it. We got now.
I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to work out tonight. I'll work out tomorrow. Okay, put some shoes on. It's workout clothes tomorrow morning. Put them out right now. Set an alarm for 5:30 in the morning. You're gonna prove something to me. Prove something to yourself. I don't care if you get out of bed tomorrow or not. It will not affect me. If you're gonna stay in bed, like, whatever Khan said is all BS, and him and his now philosophy, I'm gonna do it the day after tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow will come and go. And it'll be another day after tomorrow, and another day after tomorrow, and you'll look up and you're 60, and you're 70, and your legs don't work right. And you never made that phone call to that girl you liked or that guy you liked. You never wrote that email. You'll be looking at a long line of regrets for no reason.
That's beautiful, especially, man. I love talking to people who have achieved a lot and be like, what advice would you give to people? And I think that's some of the best stuff yet is the now. Like, holy fuck, quit waiting around. We really don't have any promises about our future, where we're going. What we do have is the ability to impact how we feel right now in this moment, and the ability to set ourselves up for a good tomorrow if we're blessed enough to wake up in it.
I could go to sleep and die of carbon monoxide poisoning tomorrow morning. Would I've thought about this moment in retrospect, like, why do that podcast? No, I'm doing this podcast. Hopefully this message gets out, and this is important to me. That now matters.
God damn.
I mean, I hope I get up tomorrow morning. I mean, but there's no guarantee of it.
Do you enjoy Stoicism in terms of philosophy?
Yeah. I learned about that early in life, but I think that's just, I don't know, built to the Jones family DNA.
Yeah?
I think all of us are just really stoic.
I like it. I'm new to it, right? Like, I don't know a ton about philosophy. It's something that I'm now getting into, and one of the next books on my list is another philosophy one. I can't remember which one it was, but But I read one called A Guide to the Good Life, The Ancient Art of Stoic Joy. And it was so fascinating. I was like, damn, so this is philosophy? That's cool. I like it. And for Stoicism especially, I think one of the things that they recommended was negative visualization. And I know not everyone is going to get down with the idea of looking around at their things or at the people that they love and thinking, like, you could disappear in a second. Like, all of this could go away. But I really liked it. That idea they talked about in the book, like a man going in and kissing his kid goodnight. You know, if you take a moment, not every single night, but maybe once a week or so, you stop and you think, I might not have my child tomorrow. Like, you really never know. Are you likely to work a little bit later that day, or are you likely to spend a little bit more time in your kid's room snuggling and loving on him if you're thinking about that, you know? And I thought that was such a cool idea. I shared it with a bunch of people, and some people were like, yo, that's fucked up. You know, thinking about the mortality of people around you all the time. That's depressing. I'm like, it doesn't have to be. I think it can be kind of empowering, you know? You got a butt shot.
Oh, thank you. That's something I learned a long time ago from a book I picked up when I was in my early 20s called The Hagakure.
Ooh.
It's the Book of the Samurai by Yamamoto Tsunotomo. And it goes about talking about the exact same. And it's a very messed up philosophy. Head, like, it's I guess the Western equivalent would be memento mori, which is, you know, no one lives forever. You know, you could die today. It's a Roman thing. But
I know I've heard that before, but I didn't know what it meant.
Oh yeah, it means your time on Earth is limited.
Wow.
Like, there's meditations in the book about, you know, being ripped apart by spears and arrows and swords. For the Book of the Samurai.
That's kind of cool.
But looking at when you're thinking about that one action, that one moment, accomplishing your goal in the face of the wrath of the gods. Like that's the kind of philosophy I probably maintain. No matter what I want to accomplish, it's going to happen. No matter what's in front of me. That's the whole essence of conquer.
Man, yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna have to look into that more because, like I said, I was enamored with that idea, that concept. Like, yes, I am gonna do that, and it's genuinely given me some really great perspective sometimes because, like, I think all of us have a tendency to make mountains out of molehills sometimes, right? Like we put our own projections onto the shit that we're dealing with, and suddenly everything is this other person's fault, and it's not our own shit, you know? And I've noticed that especially as I've been working on my self-awareness over the past almost 2 years, that there are some times where I find myself getting really frustrated with my boyfriend. And then I tell him, like, I know you're probably feeling that, like, I'm upset with you right now. And I might be. I'm really not sure yet. I know you're involved in it, but I need a minute to kind of figure out how much of this is you and how much of this is me. Because more often than not, it's way more me than him. It's me having expectations that I didn't voice or verbalize in some way. It's me having an idea that, like, wasn't happening at that time, right? But, like, this negative visualization thing, on the times when I have been kind of frustrated, sometimes taking a second and thinking, like, what if everything blew up, you know, in a second? What if the house burned down? Like, the stuff that used to send me into anxious spirals, now I jump to that deliberately so that I can let shit go. So I can be like, man, this doesn't matter. Like, you matter so much to me. So whatever it is that's got me all worked up, like, especially if it's not something that can be actively worked on or whatever, it's just my own kind of bullshit, then I can let it go. So I'll take that moment, and I'll like, sometimes after a meditation, because my boyfriend and I will meditate together, I'll have the timer going and it'll go off, and I'll look over and I'll see him meditating there, and I'll think for a second, like, tomorrow you might not be there. Even though I know he's gonna be there, you know, no, he's gonna be there, but I think you might not. And because of that, I stop and I just stare like a total creep for a second, like, damn, you're good looking. I like you a bunch. And it makes me feel so good. So it's interesting. Yeah, like, a lot of people don't dig that concept, but I think it's powerful if applied with a little bit of a sense of humor about life. Like, yeah, this is kind of a shit show. You really don't know where it's going. So you might as well, like, work really hard to enjoy each moment you have with the people you love, with the things you have. Practice gratitude.
Yeah.
I also like that when you heard the concept, by the way, that you knew exactly where that book was on your shelf.
Oh, yeah. Well, I read the books. They're not for show. I don't sit on this. It's not a set or anything. I know where my books are at. That's why I don't lend them out anymore.
If you want to put the book back, I think a bunch of people in chat are just, like, eating popcorn right now, waiting for that moment.
Gotta kill my camera first.
Sorry, I'm just objectifying you. What a terrible streamer.
Oh, man. That happens on streams?
Right. Man, we have so many similar philosophies, and it's interesting because you actually studied philosophy, and I'm, like, so super new to this, but I'm super grateful for your perspective on a lot of this stuff, especially the, like, stay in the now. So that was if you could tell someone what to, like, stop doing. You said stop waiting. What if you could tell someone what they should start doing for themselves?
Look at yourself honestly and objectively, which is extraordinarily painful.
For real.
It's really, really painful. Like, no one wants to break apart. When they look at you, like, I'm perfectly fine. They're messed up.
Right.
That's everyone's initial reaction. No one wants to say, like, breaking apart the facade that our mind builds of ourselves, of this, you know, this errorless creature that, you know, it's detrimental to every relationship you'll ever have.
For real.
So if you could do anything, and this is going to be more painful than any surgery you'll ever have, because breaking apart our psychological nuance in how we react to things, how we look at things, how we treat people objectively.
Yeah.
Is going to be extraordinarily painful, because you'll see it from the other side. Like, oh yeah, I said such and such to this person. I was being nice to them.
Mm-hmm. I'm just an honest person. I'm just blunt. Yeah. They needed to hear it. Like, honesty maybe you were being a dick.
Is key. Honesty is key. It's all about how you give a person that honesty.
Mm-hmm. And if you actually needed to give a person your honesty, or if you're just kind of projecting bullshit. Because I get a lot of people who come into chat and are like, well, some people don't like me. They think I'm an asshole, but I'm just honest. I just tell it like it is. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Being honest is dope. But like, are you sometimes being honest about shit that they didn't need to hear?
Could just being an asshole.
Yeah. Is it helpful? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Because if not, maybe you could have just kept that honesty to yourself and not hurt that other person. Maybe then they wouldn't be thinking you're kind of an asshole. Maybe.
Because we encounter hundreds of different people a day. I mean, you just through social media.
Yeah.
You never know what people are going through that day. I mean, you say something like, you could be like, look at yourself and how you interact with people. There are ways to do it that are positive, and there are ways to do it that are just, they look positive on the surface, but you're being detrimental to the situation.
Yes.
But there's I guess they call it, was it toxic positivity, or
yes.
I forget what you call it. I always look at people, and when I guess when you said what you can tell people what to do for themselves, is when I interact with people through social media or in real life or in person, gauging where they're at in their life situation, what arc they're going on. That's extraordinarily difficult, and it takes time. Like, I've seen people that have tweeted, and I'm like, I'll go back and read their tweets for 15, 20 tweets, and to see what brought them to this point.
Yes.
Before I would even say anything to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, that takes too much time. Well, if you're going to respond to somebody, respond wholeheartedly. Don't half-ass your response. I mean,
yeah.
Don't just throw out a token statement like, well, that's great. You're doing great. That sounds good. Or you should do this. You should do that. No, maybe you shouldn't do this. Maybe you shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. Being thoughtful, taking some time to put thought into something, that takes, effort. And some people don't want to put the effort in. They just want to just spout off about, they want to pontificate. Like, I never want to pontificate to anybody. Like, I don't. If people ask me for advice, I will give them wholehearted, thoughtful advice. I will never just start saying, hey, you should never do this, you should never do that, and this will never work, and that'll never work, because I don't know if that never work. I'm like, this is what I would do. And this is the reason I would do it. But I'm not you. Your situation might be completely, like, the way I handle things and the way you handle things are going to be different. Yeah. Like, finding that path is going to be up to you. But that takes objectivity and looking at yourself. Because you might come in with a problem, and you might be the problem yourself, but you don't know it.
For real. Oh.
That's why it's so. I've been the problem in situations. I know I have. So I've looked back and I'm like, man, how did I even overlook it? Because you're blinded by your own actions, your own vanity.
Mm-hmm. And over time, it gets easier, I think, when you're in the moment to like catch yourself as you're kind of being a dick or going overboard or being overbearing or whatever. But initially, yeah, it's something you might catch a day or two later where it's just like, oh, fuck. No wonder they got upset. If someone had said that thing to me at that time, I would have gotten upset too.
And that also takes you divorcing yourself from whatever you're going through that day.
Yes.
Because the events of the day also impact your judgment, what you say. And the same thing with the people you interact with. So me talking to people, like, I could have, wake up this morning, my eldest dog, she's 13, she wet the bed. I woke up, my knee was wet. Had to take all the sheets off, run downstairs, take them all out. It could have, I could have like that happen today, but I don't let those things mess with my day in the overarching view of the day. It happened, it's over. Mm-hmm. I move on. My car, like I think I had a stream where drove the street, my tire blew out, and my account got overdrafted because of I forget what happened. I think a tax payment went through that I thought I forgot about, and it was all the same day, and I had the greatest stream. Made the best art because that stuff it's happened. It's already over. Like, worried about what happened is not going to make your day better or worse. I mean, it's not going to make your day better. It's going to make it worse for sure.
For real, yes.
It's just being objective about the day and moving on with it.
It's so interesting because that's something that now I'm catching as like a difference in my life now versus my life before. Is I see these moments like that where shit kind of gets fucked up or something goes away I wouldn't have liked it to go. And I can look back and be like, damn, 2 years ago, if the same thing would have happened, this would have been a week at least of anger and frustration. Because every time I'd look at this thing that was broken or fucked up, I'd be reminded all over again that I'm angry. And now it's like, there's not much that can faze me anymore, at least not for long. I had a frustrating morning. I was talking about that earlier in chat today. It was like a bunch of things all piling on at once, and I was getting a little overwhelmed and I was getting a little agitated. And that would have been another example of a time where if someone would have asked, how you doing? How's your day going? I would have been like, man, today has fucking sucked. But instead it's just like the day will start off with me saying, I'm having a good day. I had a little bit of a frustrating morning, but I'm having a good day. And then as the day progresses, it's just like, man, I fucking love today. It's been beautiful. It's nice outside. Like, it just disappears after you kind of make that choice to let it go, right? It slowly just fucking evaporates.
What benefit do you gain by thinking?
Exactly.
Does it erase it? I mean, if worrying about stuff after it happens erase it, I would worry about stuff all the time. I would worry all the time.
Yeah, or if it could actually prevent some of the things that people are so worried about versus like you looking at the thing that you're worried about and thinking, is there action I can take or do I need to let this go?
If it could prevent things, I would worry all the time.
Mm-hmm. Like there's that natural, like, okay, what if there's a car accident? And you're like, oh, I'll put on a seatbelt, that kind of shit. But then there's the like fear of everything. And it's that ruminating, like obsessive kind of fear that is just like, what are
causes anxiety.
Yeah, what can you do with that? Like,
if you're worried about tomorrow is irrelevant.
Be here now.
The next moment is irrelevant.
Yep.
That's why I don't worry about it. Like the business, I could not get any more work tomorrow, and the business could go belly up. I don't worry about it. I just do great work now, and typically do great work every time I do work. I don't think about tomorrow. Tomorrow, it's like you could be working at Ford plant where I'm from Detroit. Like I have family members that worked at Ford, and then all of a sudden they laid off. Like, I was there. I had, they've been there for 25 years. Like, you had that job forever. Then you don't have that job. You cannot worry about the next moment because the next moment isn't here. The next moment does not exist.
And a lot of times you're putting yourself through pain that for something that might not ever happen. So it's like you're causing such undue suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. One of the things I wanted to mention earlier when you were talking about like how kind of self-awareness and looking at yourself is painful. I forget what it was. I think it was a podcast where they were talking about Buddhism and how there's that quote about like existence is suffering or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they were saying that they believe it was actually mistranslated and that it's not suffering, it's discomfort. And I was like, that is a really interesting concept to think about, like pain or anything painful like that, as instead of it being suffering, it's simply discomfort. I think for me, it opened my eyes a little bit to the amount of things that I describe as painful when really, if I stopped like tensing myself over them, it would just be a little discomfort and then I'd be over it. You can kind of, and same thing with like meditation. If you're sitting and you're meditating and suddenly your knee starts to ache, it's a discomfort, right? You can think all the time about how painful it is and it's brutal and it's going to stay there, or you can start kind of getting curious about the discomfort. You can either choose to refocus yourself on your breathing, or you can dig into it and be like, where does this discomfort live? What is the texture of it? How does it actually feel? And the more you kind of try to hone in on what part hurts, so to speak, the more it starts to stop. It stops seeming real. It starts to kind of break apart, you know? But I like that concept of pain versus discomfort. I really think discomfort is just a part of life that we have to get used to. Instead of fearing this potential for pain, everything will eventually bring you discomfort. If you lay in bed too long, bed is amazing, sleep is great. But if you stay there too long, discomfort. You like a certain food, you eat it, you might have a little discomfort on the way out. You like a certain food and it's really bad for you, you might have discomfort while it's processing and on the way out. You sit in the most comfortable chair in your house, in the most comfortable position, eventually it's going to get uncomfortable.
That's the middle path. Not too much, not too little.
Yeah, I think Rocky talked about that. Are you friends with Rocky?
Yes, I am.
You guys could probably talk for days. He's so much more knowledgeable about a lot of this stuff than I am, especially Buddhism. I think he took some classes on that in college too. Have you talked about philosophy with him? Have you gotten all up in his brain?
I never have. No, never have.
I'm gonna have to direct him, like tell him, like, listen, here's the deal. You need to just hit up Khan and just have a random conversation about life, because I'm sure you will enjoy it. Oh man. There was something else I was gonna ask or talk to you about, but it's already out of my brain. I feel like you're just reinforcing so many things that we talk about all the time, but in such a beautiful, eloquent way that there are probably people in here who are going to be like, man, I'm so glad you had him on. I'm going to go and do this now. And I'll be partially like driven by my ego to say, why the fuck didn't you listen to me? And then partially like, yay for you.
You could have the same message being told to you by 100 different people and it might not sink in until it's our brains are weird and they're stupid. Like it's
that's the fucking truth too.
That's just that's the long and the short of it. Like I've one thing that I learned in a book. Let's see here. I bought this book when I was 15 years old from my teacher.
Okay.
It's Kung Fu History, Philosophy, and Technique. And it basically says a wise man learns from others' mistakes. So when my dad talks to me like, where you learn at? I learned by watching you. I didn't do what you did. That's why I'm not doing this now.
Yeah.
I saw the mistake you made and I chose not to repeat that mistake. Like, you could learn things by doing and making mistakes. That's easy. It takes a lot longer. But observing people make mistakes around you, that's a much quicker path to having a smoother life.
Yeah. I think it's hard for a lot of people, though, to admit that they don't have all the answers or that, like, they need or could benefit from other people's knowledge.
Knowledge it's not just asking somebody questions, it's observation. Like, do you know the reason I don't watch sports?
No.
I work in a bar. I've seen people watch sports. I live in Cleveland. You see the Browns play? I've seen them play once. But every Sunday, people come down. They get upset. They curse. Their blood pressure goes up. For what reason? For something they have no control over.
That really doesn't matter at all.
That doesn't matter at all. For players that are not from the city, they weren't born here. They like, you put on this, like, I'll make some people upset in chat because they're big sports fans, but they have the city pride from a city. You know, the cities are all man-made. The names are man-made. The mascots are man-made. No, Cleveland pride. I'm like, well, what does that mean?
It's like an imaginary border.
It's an imaginary construct. And they get super upset when their team loses or they didn't get this draft picked. And I'm just like, why? Why would I subject myself to this kind of torture on a Sunday?
Oh man, that's hilarious. And what a funny thing to avoid, and for great reason. Totally. Because yeah, people get real worked up about it. If you recognize that this is a situation that's likely to get you worked up, and your focus is enjoying your days, not having to spend the next however long like working yourself out of a bad attitude, why not avoid it?
I mean, let's live in New England. I guess if you're was a Patriots fan, I guess you're having a great time all. But they're gonna lose eventually. Everyone loses.
Yeah.
Like I could see I understand watching sports and seeing how watching the game, but I don't have any teams. I don't. It's like it's tribalism. Like it's like our innate thing as human beings to like pick a side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, for what? Why? What value does this bring to me? What value does this bring society in the greater good?
I don't want to pick a side. I want you all to be on my side.
I mean, if you have fun doing that, like some people get addicted to being upset. Like being upset is addiction.
Yes.
The same way anger could be an addiction.
Yes.
And I'm like, I mean, that's the way you. if people clearly want to be upset, I mean, you can apply that to anything. People get upset for no reason. Like, oh man, open the door and the hinge broke, and they got super upset about it. I'm like, well, the door's broken. You can't be upset at the door and not at objects. I see people, kick stairs. They just want to be upset. Like being upset in itself and being angry, the same like being happy can be. You'd be addicted to being happy. I enjoy being in a state of joy.
Same.
But even though the things I do that to attain that joy can be extraordinarily painful, like powerlifting.
Yeah.
Like nothing's more like I love that adrenaline. You pick up several hundred pounds a few times, you drop it. There's something primal in that.
And it's
not
progression.
doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good at all. It feels terrible until you pick it up. You're like, it's I don't know what it is. It's like defeating that raid boss. I don't know. But every day's a raid boss for me. I just keep trying to take it down.
Man,
just keep trying over and over again.
I think like anger patterns and things like that. You were talking about how this introspection, taking a look at yourself from kind of an objective view is hard. It's challenging. I think that's a good reason why people don't take on that path, because they don't know how rewarding it is. And it is very unfortunately easy to kind of be an asshole. It's easy to be an angry person. And that's what I noticed, like starting streaming on Twitch. I was already an angry person. I'd been battling it for a long time. Well, not even battling it. I just was it. And suddenly I had all of these justifiable causes to be angry for. So it was like, yeah, why not? I'll be angry about this and I'll be angry about that. I have to use my platform for the greater good. And the only way to do that clearly is to quote tweet people and shame them for their ignorant views, instead of doing what I do now, which is funny that you do the same thing, browsing their tweets and being like, what's going on here? Are they just like popping off out of nowhere because they had a rough day when they normally seem very like, empowering and kind or whatever? Or do they have like a series of kind of depressive tweets where maybe they need a friend right now more than they need to be corrected? But like I used to go name and shame instead of like, I wonder what this person is going through, why they felt like it was an appropriate thing to say, or how they came to develop this view that they have that like I super disagree with. So I try not to quote tweet anymore.
There was a time I would get into arguments. They weren't even debates. There would be arguments on Facebook. A few years ago, around the time election time. And after 2 or 3 months, I realized that you're not really having a debate. Like, people don't want to, like, whenever somebody talks about a subject they're very into, I had to exercise my objectivity to see, do they even want to, does this person want to move this conversation forward, or do they want to just move through this constant roll of arguments and points that lead nowhere, because they want to keep this treadmill going.
Yep. Yeah, they want to see if they can get you upset enough to quit versus like they want to have a conversation that can bring you both closer to the truth.
After that, you talk to a few people, and through that objectivity, be like, but I want to be upset. I'm like, you can be upset all you want. This is what I'm going to do, and this is what you're going to say. I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that. Well, I want to keep doing that. I don't want to keep doing this. I want you to live a happy life. I want the best for your children. I want the best for your grandkids. I want the best for your neighbors. That's the only thing I want. If that's not what you want, then this conversation is over.
Yeah. Wow, I love it. Alan Alda had a great quote in that respect. You're not really listening unless you're willing to be changed by the other person.
Yeah, that's. So I just stopped using Facebook for that reason. Hey, I put a big message like, "Oh, I'm done arguing with people," because it bears no fruit.
No.
I'm into things that bring a better understanding of how we live our lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to grow and learn in any way I can. I want to grow and learn about myself, grow and learn about you, grow and learn about Twitch and everything. And if I'm just yelling back and forth with someone who's never gonna attempt to see my perspective, and I'm not trying to see theirs, it's a waste of my fucking time and energy. I'm sitting there crunched up on my phone, heated on the couch over some bullshit that doesn't matter. I could have ignored it and woke up the next day feeling great. Like, it's most of this shit that we find ourselves arguing about because we're so determined to prove to them that they're wrong. If we stop and just take a breath, it's like, this really doesn't fucking matter.
If you do prove with inscrutable evidence, it's irrelevant. It could be, it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on, religious, political, it doesn't matter. Being right isn't the point. Making the other person feel bad is the point.
Yep.
Almost like, well, I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want anybody to feel bad. I just want a better world to live. I don't. That's all I want. I'm not asking for much. And like, they think that's people. You say that to somebody, that sounds like BS. Like, why's the BS? That I want you to be. I want to be happy, and I want you to be happy.
I think, I don't know if you've ever been at a point in your life where you felt like especially hopeless or really angry, but like, I know if I had tried to talk to me 2 years ago, I would have told myself to fuck off. Like, I would not have wanted to hear anything I had to say. I would have been like, no, it's bullshit. No one is that happy. Like, you're telling me wake up in the morning with a literal fucking smile on your face? Eat a dick. You're full of shit. I don't believe you. That's not a thing that people do. Because I had never experienced it, it was impossible for me to believe that someone else could be genuinely joyful and actually want what's best for a stranger that they had never met. So now it's interesting that like I'm on the other side of it and I have people coming into chat that are questioning like, are you really this happy? Like this sounds like bullshit. You know, the idea that you can build yourself up with words and actually start to feel like what you're telling yourself. The idea that you can meditate and get a little separation between yourself and your thoughts and gain some control that way. It just sounds too good to be true, and it sounds unlikely.
It sounds counterintuitive, and it sounds like it's like the way we take in information in school. Like, it didn't really teach us emotional intelligence. Like that's not the way Western society is built. Like it's not built on interpreting our feelings or deciphering how we interact with people. Like it's really based on concrete things. That's the like schools are this way and it's standardized and this is how you make people.
Yep.
That's not how you make people. People are not.
You teach the people how to make themselves.
That's not how you make well-balanced people. That's how you make truly imbalanced people. Like people get on it's made as a conveyor belt to make people for factories, and we're not in factories anymore. We're way past the factory stage. This is post-industrialism.
Yes. Yeah, and that's interesting.
We're out of that stage.
I've only learned a little bit about that, but it is fascinating to see kind of how the structure of school had begun and where it is now. A lot of the thought patterns we have, a lot of the things that are in our life were meant for a different time, a different world, but we don't check them. We don't question them often enough. We don't, seek outside of that. I love conversations like this. This is why I like going to cons, by the way, because almost every time that I go to a meetup or a convention, I have at least like 2 or 3 conversations with people like out somewhere smoking a joint, talking about just how wild life is. And I love hearing why people feel the way they feel and what steps they take to feel different if they take any. So like you do your weightlifting. What other things do you do to keep yourself in balance? Are you a meditator?
Yes and no. Like I did sitting meditation,
Mm-hmm.
but now everything I do is a meditation.
Super, super present and mindful.
So powerlifting is a meditation. Art is a meditation. Walking is a meditation. Everything that I'm moving is a meditation. So it's the best way to put this, to actually verbalize it. The mind is extraordinarily loud, and the volume is cranked to 1,000 all the time. But people wonder, like, how do you remember my name? I was here 6 months ago, a year ago. I remember because I was here.
Yeah,
I wasn't
right?
halfway here looking at it. I was here looking at it. We talked. You had a name change. Your kids going to school. They were just born. That's what happens to your mind when you actually look at things and look at them.
Yes.
Like you can look at a book like, oh, this is a book. It's got pages. It's heavy. It's got a cover black as white. You turn it, put it back down, and that's all you'll see of the book. Book has layers, has weight. It has an atomic weight. It has a mental weight. It has has lessons to be learned inside of it. The same thing with every moment you have. I guess you mentioned the movie Peaceful Warrior. There are no ordinary moments.
Mm-hmm.
That's why every moment is a meditation.
It's beautiful. That's what I'm getting to, is being at a point where I'm able to be fully present more often than not. So when I'm not present, when I'm half with my shit and I'm halfway here, I remember how uncomfortable that is again. Like, man, I'm not even enjoying this meal because I'm frustrated about something, or I'm not even talking to this person I've been looking forward to seeing so much because I'm still in my head. I'm still running away with these thoughts that I didn't come up with, that my brain just popped up and I chose to associate with and run with, But man, I'm so grateful now for this new mindset, because everything I do has an extra layer of joy to it. Like if I'm playing a video game, it's because I really want to play that. I'm all up in it. If I'm on stream, I want to be here. If not, like I manage my space and my mental health a lot. If I have a desire to do something that's not stream, depending on what's going on, of course, there's a good chance I'm going to do that. I'm going to let my stream know, like, hey, I have this opportunity for an experience. I'm going to do it. Because otherwise, I'm going to go stream that day and be half in stream and half with my disappointment that I'm not doing this other thing. And I get people that are always telling me, like, video games are how I cope with everything going on in life. I'm like, man, you're missing out, because video games are actually fun. You're sitting there scowling at the screen, hoping to let go of all this stuff that happened in your day, but you're not addressing it. You're just smushing it down and covering it up with a game, and it's gonna keep popping in and out. So you're in the game, and then you're angry, and then you're in the game, and then you're remembering that the reason you're gaming is because you're angry, and then you're like, fuck it, I'll grab a beer. And it just continues on from there. But a moment of stillness, a moment of presence, can allow you to actually choose to let that go. And then you get to play the game and have fun.
The last time we had a moment of stillness in school was preschool, and it was called nap time. We just laid down, you turned the lights down low, and you sat still. From that point on, it was go, 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 go. So you get to school, and you from kindergarten on up, you eat lunch, you smash it down.
Yep.
You get out of school, you go home, do your homework. The school is not meant to build like well-rounded people. It's not.
And to build workers.
But that's the way we're, that's the society we grew up in. So when we see these kind of like dysfunctions happen on like 20s, 30s, and 40s, you're like, you get anxiety because the next day is this and that. Like that's like a lot of stuff can be learned earlier in life.
Yeah.
A lot of it can. But deprogramming ourselves, that sounds like such a culty word. Like, oh man, you're gonna deprogram you. Is healthy. Deprogramming is healthy.
Yes. I think a lot of people don't realize that until you are actively making choices for yourself in every moment, until you're actively feeling your body in every moment, like I'm picking up this this glass to drink out of, and I'm feeling how crazy it is that I have this appendage that can lift and grab and squeeze, and I'm feeling the texture of the bottle or whatever. Like, you're there. It's so powerful. It's so special. And a lot of people don't realize that they're just really running on autopilot. Like, until you start making conscious choices, it's just anything that kind of goes with the flow of your life. Your brain and your body are going to try to kind of assume that control. So when people are trying to break habits, I always tell them all the time, like, we're just trying to outsmart your brain. You are so much smarter than your brain. Like, I know it's part of your intelligence, but you're smarter than your automatic processing. You can take a second and say, okay, I know that I want to work out. I should work out. But I get home at the end of the day, I sit down on the couch, and then the day just disappears. And before I know it, I missed my opportunity. So I tell them, okay, how do we outsmart your brain? What if you blocked off your couch? Like, I don't care if it looks stupid, throw a bunch of shit all over it so you can't just sit down. Or if you work out at home, put your weights there. You just have to give yourself that 1 second of choice. You're just outsmarting automatic behaviors, that's it. And for stillness, like, I advocate for stillness all the time because people are so impulsive, not just mentally, but physically. I'm always around people who feel this strong urge to tap and like move their feet and click things, and their anxiety and their mind is manifesting in their body. And when you start taking control of your body and saying, I am going to choose to be still. If I move a muscle, it's going to be because I want to move that muscle. It's like you were saying, it's excruciating at first, but after a while, it's kind of a fun game. Like, I'm not just getting up to walk because my body kind of drove me to this impulse, and now I'm walking and I'll find what I'm going to do. I'm going to wander into the kitchen and maybe eat something. Now it's like, wait, why do I feel like getting up? Do I actually need anything? Am I hungry? Nah, my body just wants me to think I'm hungry because it thinks I'm bored. Okay, what can I do? Is there something I can work on internally, or should I go and do something productive for myself? We're on impulse.
Is easy.
Oh, it is. This is hard work, friends, but it's so worth it.
It's the path of least resistance. Like, change is a lot of resistance to change. It's a lot. That's why I said deep. Like, we program ourselves every day to do things. You can program yourself to do anything.
Yeah, it sucks that most people are doing the programming in the worst way possible, like we were talking about earlier with like self-deprecating humor. We spend all day just like, I can't do that, I never do that, I always fuck up this way, I'm a piece of shit, I suck. And then we do it in our jokes too, and we write it and we speak it and we think it and we never check it.
Yeah, that's why a lot of comedians are depressed.
Oh, for real. They beat themselves up real hard. It is genuinely sad. I like some of the comedians that don't go the self-deprecating route for that reason, because I'm like, this is challenging, but I like it.
Self-deprecation is funny because we can identify.
Yes.
It's like when you're going to identify with somebody, always you come closer to that person. Like, we're having a moment now, we're becoming closer as people.
Yeah, you're my best friend now, bud.
Yeah, we're linking up.
Yes.
If you have a self-deprecation, you're self-deprecating all the time. When you stop doing it to yourself, you watch comedians self-deprecate, you're like, this is funny, but it wasn't as funny as it was like 5 years ago when I was having the same jokes with my.
Yeah, because then you're thinking
funny,
like, oh, what's going on in their mind? Do they really believe this? Are they okay? Do they need a hug? We always in chat, like a lot of the people in here now are doing this like in their own lives too, which I really enjoy. But if anyone in chat says something unkind about themselves, we'll always be like, hey, don't talk shit about my friend. And sometimes they'll catch it and be like, oh, haha, sorry. And other times they'll be like, what are you talking about? I didn't say anything about your friend. It's like, yeah, you did. You said my friend was stupid. That's not nice. And then they go back and read their messages and they're like, oh, I said I was stupid. Yeah, you're my friend. I don't let people talk shit about my friend. What are you not getting here, bud? Just be nice. Be nice.
It sounds weird though. Like, being nice to yourself just sounds like, I don't know. Well, the way it's just being nice to yourself. Just it sounds. What is it called? Self. I can't think of the word right now. But it sounds unhealthy. But in all actuality, being nice to yourself is the most important thing you can do to be nice to everybody else.
Yes. Yeah, because when you start giving yourself a break, it makes it so much easier to give other people a break. Like, if I were in that situation, I would probably have reacted like that until this point. So That sucks, but like they're acting out of kind of this impulse. I can let that go.
Mm.
I think people have a fear of being perceived as like vain or selfish, and they think that self-care falls in line with that. Like if you're a parent and you decide to take a day a month and you just want that day all to yourself, you're like, man, I'm a real piece of shit. How dare I should be all parent all the time. And sometimes the media and people can reinforce that, like, oh, I only want to be around my kids. And then you're like, oh, great, so I'm a real fucking scumbag because I just want to go and like wander around for a day and be myself, not a parent, be more. So it sucks how many people have that mindset of like this self-care is overindulgent and unnecessary. I'm wasting time when I could be working. But that time, that stillness, there's just so much power in it. Like my best friend, I'm so grateful. She's a mom. She's got 2 young girls, and she just started taking 1 day a month to go and have as her day to do whatever the fuck she wants. So her last one, she went and basically just drove around town. She got a bunch of books that she liked. She went to a coffee shop, hung out all day, saw a movie by herself, had a nice meal. And I was like, I am so proud of you that you dedicated this time to yourself, because now you can go back to your parenting role feeling refreshed, feeling energized, and you and your kids deserve that, No
time spent on growth and healing.
Agreed. Man, well, I don't want to keep you forever because I think we could talk for probably 6 hours.
I mean, we could. It'd be a hell of a podcast to edit.
It would be great. I think a lot of people would get a lot of knowledge out of that, especially because I would be like, okay, grab another book. Let's talk about that one. I'm going to need to like get a list of some of the books that you recommend because I fucking love reading.
No, I got a lot of authors that could definitely, throw you.
Yeah, I'm pumped about that. Maybe that's something we could include in like the podcast notes too. Some of your favorite book recommendations. Like if you could get people in here to read just one fucking book or maybe 3.
I can whip out a top 10 in like 30.
All right. Well, why don't you just rattle it off right now? Give us your top 10.
Top 10. You can pick up the collective works of Jiddu Krishnamurti. He's written a few books. You can the anthology is a nice sized book. It's like, hold on, I'll get the exact title. Total Freedom.
Total Freedom.
Total Freedom by Jiddu Krishnamurti. It's the essential Krishnamurti, so it's like the essential works. Also, look him up on YouTube. A book that it will apply to, like, if you're into martial arts or into fighting, MMA, that transfers into philosophy, is the Hagakure. It's the Book of the Samurai.
Okay. That was the one that's behind you, or that you showed us earlier?
It's the one I pulled down. This is my second. You can pick up No Ordinary Moments by Dan Millman.
Oh, and that's where that movie came from?
The original book is called Peaceful Warrior.
Oh, okay.
By Dan Millman. So those 2 books are also very good.
Got it.
You can pick up any of the works by Alan Watts. He is another anti-guru who came through the 60s and
we
50s.
Love Alan Watts.
I love Alan Watts. If you like Alan Watts, you'll love Jiddu Krishnamurti's work.
Cool. That's really encouraging because I love the fuck out of Alan Watts.
Oh yeah, huge fan.
Wait, while you're thinking, have you played the game called Everything?
No.
Ooh, you would probably love that. It's like a philosophical game where you get to become everything, and they have all these little sound bites of Alan Watts in there. And I would love to talk to you about how they kind of reinforce certain concepts in that game. Like, that game blew me away.
I had no idea it existed.
It's cool. It's on Steam. I don't remember how I found it one day. I just like stumbled upon it. Be forewarned, the first however long you play, maybe the first like 20 minutes or so, you're just gonna be laughing at how silly it is. But the graphics get insanely good, and it's just, I love it. I would, if you ever stream that game, please DM me, because I will stop what I'm doing to watch it. I'm not even fucking kidding. I love that game so much.
If I stream a game, I will DM you.
if you could stream that game. Otherwise, you just like let me know after you play that, because it's an immersive experience, and it is just like it's great. And there's all of the Alan Watts in it, like I think is just especially wonderful. Are you still thinking of what the next book is now?
No. Let me see. The Bodhisattva Warriors. The Bodhisattva Warriors is a really good. It's thick. It's a thick read. It goes in a lot of Buddhist history, but it's an essential read for me. Art of War. It sounds like everyone says the Art of War. It sounds like a weird idea, and it sounds like it's such a worn out idea, but the book is essential.
My man and I were talking about reading that. We've been wanting to for a while, so we'll bump that up our list.
Yeah, it's a little esoteric and moves into like patterns, but it's a good way to look at things and how you approach strategy.
Okay, I like it.
The 48 Laws of Power. That was a good read. I suggest that one. What was the last one? Just picked up. A lot of stuff I read lately is cultural books. It's by Frantz Fanon, so it won't be exactly, philosophy books per se.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good starting point. I don't want to bog anybody down with a bunch of books, because I could go on.
Yeah, I think that is a great start. I think the next time that I run out of books to read, which probably isn't going to happen anytime soon, I'm just going to hit you up and be like, all right, what's next? Please help me, Khan. Help learn me.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of this. I'm glad that you were down to just kind of shoot the shit with me.
It's my pleasure.
Always a pleasure. I'm a huge fan of yours. I love all the art you're creating. I love your attitude. I was really happy to have you on that panel this year. I got so many compliments on the panel itself, on your contribution in like just overall. And then I had a lot of people approaching to tell me that you're very attractive. So you got that going for you as well. Oh, someone in chat's excited about that, I'm sure. You got a nice little look.
Not bad for almost 40-year-old man.
Not at all. Not at all. So one more time, just let people know where to find you. I'll make sure to include your links and everything in here, but...
Twitch, twitch.tv/YungKhan. 7 nights a week, basically. I make art, listen to music, drink coffee. That's the long and short of it.
That's perfect. That's what they need to know. I was telling people earlier, because I was like, I'm going to be live streaming this. But this isn't as much for you as it is for me. So if you have questions, this isn't going to be like there will be a Q&A section at the end of this. Like, if you have questions, you need to go and consume Khan's content. You need to go and hang out in his streams and ask him the questions. I have my own questions for him. So I'm sure you will have a lot of people who are going to want to follow up on a lot of the concepts that you've brought up here. And by the way, I've never noticed how many words have Khan in them since having this conversation with you.
This conversation is full of Khan.
Exactly. I'm like, your content, conversations. Okay, we just...
all by accident. Literally, I don't know how that happened. It's happenstance.
Life is crazy like that, right?
Gotta conquer the moment.
Well, I hope that this was convenient for you, this timing. But yeah, I'm gonna let you go and do some dope art. And yeah, again, thank you very much for being a part of this. I think you're fucking great.
My pleasure.